All right, let's talk about the immune system. Today, we're going to break it all down in simple, easy-to-understand English. I promise, no complicated medical jargon. We're just focusing on clear explanations and those high-yield points you absolutely have to know to pass your PTCB exam.
Welcome to PTCB Prep Guide. This is the place where we break down all those tricky pharmacy concepts so you can study faster and walk into that exam with total confidence.
So in this explainer, we're going to build a really solid foundation for understanding how the body's defense network actually works. Let's take a quick look at our game plan.
First, we'll start with a super simple analogy to understand the body's defense system. Then, we'll zoom in on the exact points the PTCB exam is going to test you on. After that, a rapid review of the terms you've got to know, and we'll compare the two main types of immunity side by side. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with a quick quiz to make sure everything sticks.
You know, the immune system can seem incredibly complex, right? But it really doesn't have to be. To make sense of it all, let's kick things off with a really straightforward analogy. I want you to imagine your body as a castle, and it's constantly under threat from invaders, things like bacteria and viruses, while your immune system is the entire defense force for that castle, from the high stone walls to the guards on patrol and even the secret agents. So let's break that down. The castle walls, those are your physical barriers. Your skin, your hair, the mucous membranes. They're all designed to just keep invaders out in the first place. Now, if something manages to get past those walls, you've got your first-line guards. This is your innate immunity, cells like neutrophils that are always on patrol, ready to attack any foreign substance. But for the really tough invaders, you need to call in the specialists, your spies and assassins. This is your adaptive immunity. These are the highly intelligent B cells and T cells that learn, remember, and launch very specific targeted attacks.
Okay, now that we have our castle analogy locked in, let's get really specific about what the PTCB exam actually expects you to know. This is the high-yield stuff, the information you really want to focus on when you're studying.
Definitely pay close attention here. You absolutely 100% have to be able to tell the difference between innate and adaptive immunity. You need to know that the main job of all white blood cells, or WBCs, is to fight infection. Simple as that. Also, be ready to point out the specific roles of our key players, neutrophils, B cells, and T cells. And remember these two locations. Bone marrow is where all the WBCs are made, and the lymphatic system is like the highway they use to travel around and coordinate the defense.
All right, time for a quick-fire terminology round. Think of these next few slides as digital flashcards for the essential vocabulary of the immune system. Ready?
First one up, leukocyte. This is just the fancy scientific name for any and all white blood cells. So if you see the word leukocyte, your brain should immediately think WBC. Next up, phagocytosis. This is that awesome process where our first-line guard cells, especially the neutrophils, literally eat and digest invaders. Seriously, just picture a cellular Pac-Man gobbling up germs.
Antigen. Okay, so an antigen is basically any foreign substance that sounds the alarm in your body. It's like the enemy's flag, and when your immune system sees it, it knows it's time to create weapons, which we call antibodies.
B cells, these guys are one of our specialized spies. Here's a great memory trick. B is for bone marrow, because that's where they mature. Their main mission is to produce the antibodies that target those specific antigens.
And finally, T cells. These are our assassins, and the memory trick continues. T is for thymus, that's the gland in your chest where they mature. Now, unlike B cells that just make the weapons, T cells get their hands dirty. They attack infected body cells directly.
So now, let's put it all together. We're going to place innate and adaptive immunity right next to each other to really hammer home the differences. Trust me, this comparison is a concept the PTCB absolutely loves to test. This chart is just perfect for seeing the contrast. First, speed. Innate immunity is fast. It's your first responder on the scene. Adaptive is way slower because it has to learn the enemy first. Then, specificity. Innate is general. It attacks anything that looks foreign. Adaptive, though, is a sniper. It's highly specific to one particular bad guy. And this is a big one. Memory. Innate immunity has none. It treats every fight like it's the very first time. But adaptive immunity remembers. That's the whole reason you don't get sick with the same thing twice. And lastly, the key cells. Innate uses those general guards like neutrophils, while adaptive calls in the special forces, the B and T cells.
All right, you've taken in a ton of information. Let's see how much is stuck. We've got a few practice questions here, just like what you might see on the exam. Feel free to pause the screen if you need a second to think.
Question number 1. Which white blood cell is the most common one out there and responds to bacterial infections using phagocytosis? Is it A, eosinophil, B, T cell, C, neutrophil, or D, basophil?
Question number 2. Where do our T-cell assassins, the T lymphocytes, go to mature? Think back to our little memory trick for this one. Is it A, the spleen, B, bone marrow, C, lymph nodes, or D, the thymus?
And our final question, number 3. The immunity you get from a vaccine, which type is that an example of? This is a perfect real-world pharmacy question. Is it A, innate immunity, B, adaptive immunity, C, nonspecific immunity, or D, phagocytic immunity?
Okay, pencils down, let's see how you did. For number 1, the answer is C, neutrophil. They're the most numerous first responders and the professional phagocytes. For number 2, the answer is D, the thymus. Remember, T is for thymus. And for number 3, the answer is B, adaptive immunity. This is perfect. Vaccines are literally a training manual for your super smart, memory-building adaptive immune system.
So that's our deep dive into the immune system. Here's the most crucial point. If you can master the difference between your fast, general, innate defenses and your slower, more specific adaptive forces, you've built the foundation. Really get these core concepts down, and you'll be ready to confidently handle any immune system question the PTCB throws at you.
Hey, if this explainer helped you out, do me a favor and hit that like button, share it with a classmate, and subscribe so more future techs can learn right along with us. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.